There are currently 3 different methods that you can use to claim home office expenses here in Australia on your tax return, but it's important to get the method right to make sure you're maximising your claim. Today, I explore that. Hello everyone, my name is Ethan Rushock and welcome to another video, and today's topic is going to be home office expenses on your tax return here in Australia. So as I said there in the intro, there's 3 different methods currently here in Australia. So we have the fixed rate method, the shortcut method and the actual cost method. So what I'll do, I'll break down all 3 of those methods, talk to you about how they work, what you're allowed to claim, what you're not allowed to claim, and then what I'll do is kind of talk about who that's best for, and at the end I'll give you a bit of a summary of the different methods and which one works best in which situation. Now the thing I do want to touch on is there is nothing wrong with calculating each of these methods. You don't need to select one of these in advance. You can select one of these when you're doing your return. So if you've kept the records, which I'll go through what records you need to keep for each method, you can do all 3 methods, work out which one works out best for you and use that method. So the first one is the fixed rate method. So this involves claiming a fixed rate for a certain portion of your home office expenses and then claiming the actual costs for other parts. So I'll jump into the ATO website here. So you can see the fixed rate method is you must incur additional running expense as a result of working from home, and you must have a dedicated work area such as a home office that you use when you work from home, and records that show the work-related portion of expenses not covered by this fixed rate hourly rate. And then also the record of the number of hours spent working at home for the whole income year. So this method has 2 separate parts. So the first part is the fixed rate method of it. So you're going to claim a rate of currently 52 cents per hour. And this is going to cover for these following expenses here. So it's for the decline in the value of your home office furniture and furnishing, for instance, a desk, cleaning of your office. And then the big one is the electricity and gas for heating, cooling and lighting. So the reason why people will quite often use this method is that it makes it really simple, is they're keeping track of hours they've worked and they don't have to then worry about working about the actual work-related percentage of their electricity and gas bills. Now the key thing with this method is that you do need to have a dedicated home office area. So for instance, here I have this office that I'm working from, so that would count because it's a dedicated spot that I do work from. But you can't just have your laptop pulled up at the lounge room desk. That's not how it's going to work. You need to have a dedicated office area. Now, the good thing with this method is that fixed rate is only for those things I listed. You can still claim the actual work-related percentage for other things. So this might include your phone, your internet, or even the depreciation on items such as laptops and computers. The other thing you're likely to potentially have if you're claiming this method might be your other consumables. So you could have printing and stationery costs. So it could be inks, it could be paper, it could be pens and pencils, that kind of stuff as well. So one thing you do need to remember with this method is you can't claim office furniture as well because this is included in that fixed rate. So you can't claim the fixed rate method and then also include the desk that you've purchased, for instance. Now, I will jump over to the ATO website so you can see here about some of the record keeping methods. So it's going to be things like recording the actual number of hours you're working from home for the whole year, or you can do a diary for a 4-week period to show your usual pattern of working at home. Receipts and written evidence for obviously anything else that you're claiming. And then things like for your phone, you're meant to keep a record of what's the work-related calls versus private calls to work out a 4-week period again there. And then a diary that shows your work-related internet use. And then the percentage of the year that you're using those depreciating assets. So what percentage is the laptop, for instance, work related? Before I get into talking about the COVID shortcut method, if you're finding this video valuable at all, I'd love for you to hit that subscribe button and hit that like button. It really helps me grow the channel. I'm getting close to 1,000 subscribers, so I really appreciate anyone that's been here along the journey, and I want to get more people involved, keep growing the community, and that's what really helps me motivate me to do this channel. So the second method I want to talk about is the shortcut method. Now this was brought in because of COVID, so this method is only able to be used for the 1920 year from 1st of March to 30th of June, and then for the 2021 year you're able to use it for the full year. They're yet to release a ruling on whether it will apply for the 21-22 year, although I'm thinking based on the current lockdown situations that are happening across Australia, it is likely this may be continued. Now this method is really simple. It is simply claiming a rate, which that rate is 80 cents per hour that you've worked at home. So again, you need to keep a record, whether it's timesheets or diaries, to show how many hours you've worked at home during that financial year. But then you just simply times that out by the 80 cents per hour and that gets to your claim. Now this claim includes everything. So this includes your phone, your internet, your electricity and gas costs, the depreciation of furniture, laptops, computers. This is an all-inclusive. You can't then claim additional things for working at home on top of this. So you need to really work out, is this method going to be best based on how much you've actually spent on those other things. So an example of this, as I'll bring up, is that if you had worked from home for a whole year, so you did 38 hours and you did it for 48 weeks, assuming you took 4 weeks of leave, then that would get you 1,824 hours. And if you times that by the 80 cents, that's going to be $1,459 as a claim. So that's the maximum claim you could probably have under this method. And then the final method is the actual cost method. So this is definitely the most complex when it comes to record keeping. So it's going to be really important you get these things right, because if you're claiming under this method and you get an audit, you're going to need to be able to produce all of this documentation. So as the name of this method would go, this is claiming the actual cost. So you're claiming the actual cost for your work-related expenses at home. So again, it's going to be very similar for those items such as phone, internet, depreciating items, but the big difference is instead of claiming that fixed rate for your electricity and gas, cleaning, and for depreciation of furniture, you're going to claim the actual cost of those, the actual work-related percentage of those things. So I'll jump over here to the ATO, and what they say in particular for heating, cooling and lighting is you need to work out the cost by using the cost per unit of power used, and that's normally on your utility bill, the average units used per hour, which is the power consumption per kilowatt hour for each appliance, equipment and light used, and then the total hours used for work-related purposes by then comparing that with the hours from your work-related journal of how many hours you'd done. So you can straight away see this is a little bit more complicated than if we were using some of those other methods. So then to work out something like the cleaning expenses, the ATO say, if you have a dedicated work area, work out the cost of your cleaning expenses and apportion your claim for any private use of your home office or use of the home office by other members of the household. So for example, if you have a room set up as a home office, add together your receipts and multiply by the floor area of the dedicated work area divided by the whole floor area of the house. And then you're going to reduce this by the personal use percentage by either yourself or other members of your household. So you can see this is definitely more complex than those fixed rate and shortcut methods. So in summary, we've got those 3 different methods, but I would say honestly, from doing a lot of tax returns, the most common definitely would be the fixed rate method. The COVID shortcut method has come in handy in some situations where they haven't kept records or they're not really occurring a lot of work-related expenses, and that rate works out best for them. Typically though, the fixed rate method works really well because that fixed rate is really easy to calculate, and then you can still claim that work-related percentage with phone and internet, and if you've purchased new assets like computers. So under that shortcut method, if you purchase something like a laptop solely for work that might have cost you $2,000 and you're claiming 100% of that, you can see how quickly that shortcut method isn't going to work out best for you, even if the item's got to be depreciated over a number of years. The good thing then, in that situation, if you've used that fixed rate method, you can still then claim that fixed rate method for the electricity and gas costs, for the cleaning, for the depreciation of furniture items. So that fixed rate works out really generously. There are some situations where the actual cost method could work out, but you'd want to do those calculations, and quite often a lot of people go, look, I'm not going to be bothered, I'll go the fixed rate method, I'll keep those documentation I need for the other expenses and just use that method. I hope that's been helpful. If you found that video helpful, make sure you hit that like button and check out some of my other content. I appreciate you being here, and I'll see you on the next video.